What's up? Good morning. I'm going to blow your all mind today. Well, maybe. Maybe it's just crazy to me, and everybody else has been doing a much better job at this than I have for 40 years. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's having a great week. And we got blessed with some awesome weather this week. It's just like changes my whole attitude when I go outside and the sun's shining and it's warm. It's pretty awesome. I'm super pumped. Had a great week, super productive week. I had a client come into town from Sacramento, California for the last 2 days. Working with Sharper Business Solutions. We did 2 days worth of leading and leveraging, and did 2 days with Rashad Sullivan from Sacramento, California. It was pretty cool. But I wanted to talk about something today. I've been learning a lot about perspective, and I'm doing some personal coaching, receiving some personal coaching from the SEAL leadership team and Ann Yatch, and I'm reading a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And there was two instances where that book and my coaching overlapped, and it talked a ton about how too often we interpret situations, we interpret people's statements, their behavior, their activities through a filter of our past experiences, both positive and negative. So the bottom line is we don't often see things for what they are. We see them as they have been for us. And it makes us miscalculate and misjudge a lot of situations. It makes us insensitive. It makes us not good at understanding what people are going through. It makes us not great listeners. It makes us average at best leaders. So I started doing this thing, which is like crazy to me, but it's been remarkable. The response that it's had, I guess you could say. So I oftentimes can be, I'm not super patient. And a lot of times when I'm traveling, if I'm driving, if I'm flying, if I'm in a store waiting in a line or whatever, I lack patience. And sometimes I can be quick to assess a situation or assess a person and not necessarily judge them, but be quick to make assumptions about their motivations. So I've started doing this thing where the instant I feel myself making a negative, any negative feelings, I try and convince myself that the opposite is true. And I'll give you an example. There was someone that I was walking beside at the Tampa airport. I was going from my gate to the train that takes you to your baggage, and I was clearly in line first. And when the train opened up, you let all of the people off, and then you go on. This person like beelined right in front of me, like bumped into me, and my instant reaction was to be annoyed, almost confrontational. I caught myself and I said, okay, let's imagine a perspective or a situation that I would be empathetic or sympathetic, or this would be the right thing for this person to do. And what I came up with in the moment was maybe they have somewhere important to be, and that somewhere important to be could be an urgent situation for a loved one. And it instantly diffused any, it caused me stress in my life. I mean, it's not like I was sitting there like freaking out, but I was annoyed, and that could have bothered me for 10 or 12 or 30 minutes sometimes, right? We see it all the time where someone cuts us off in traffic or doesn't let us out at a stoplight or doesn't yield or whatever. A waitress forgets an item on our plate. And we go, man, it's this service is bad. And instead, I think to myself, maybe that person's got a lot going on. Maybe there's something back in the kitchen where they're shorthanded, and this waitress is working twice as hard just to get by. And it instantly diffuses any negative thoughts that I have. And when you have direct interaction with people, it's going to make you a much better communicator. You're going to have empathy. You're going to understand better what's happening in that person's situation, and be more aware of the circumstances, not just what you're seeing at the surface level, if that's their attitude or their behavior, or whether or not they're paying attention. And you're going to have deeper, more meaningful relationships with people, deeper, more meaningful interactions with people, because you're not prejudging them or assuming what is going on and what type of person they are. Because, I mean, subconsciously, I feel like we do that, and maybe it's just me, and shame on me if that's the case. Shame on me anyway for not being better at that. But what I've done, and I think what would be cool for you to try, and I'm going to continue to do it, is that the instant that I have any type of undesirable or negative feelings about a circumstance, I'm going to imagine and argue to myself that there's a much more positive reasoning behind those set of circumstances. Now, this could cause me to go absolutely crazy in the next 6 months and not really understand what's going on and walk into a situation to be blindsided. But I generally am a person that gives the benefit of the doubt to people. I wholeheartedly believe that by human nature, we're good people. I believe that most people want to do right by their neighbor, their coworker, their family member, their spouse, and that we're in large misunderstood. And I think that's easy to be convinced of, because there's 1,000 times where I thought somebody was doing something or saying something motivated by a particular set of circumstances. And because I was open-minded and asked good questions, I found that it was completely out of line. Again, the one thing that I've been doing is anytime I find myself having a negative feeling, a negative assumption, or an unfavorable perspective, I imagine the opposite. How could this potentially be the right thing for this person to be doing? Well, maybe they have this going on. Maybe this is a really important place for them to be, and they're on their way to a life-changing job interview, and if they're 2 minutes late, it could ruin the whole thing. Me imagining that set of circumstances made me want to help that person get to where they were going quicker, not argue with them or be confrontational because they butted in front of me and cost me 30 seconds of my life where, quite frankly, I was in no rush. So I think the bottom line is have a better perspective, seek to understand people's situations, and ask better questions, and give people the benefit of the doubt. Have a much different perspective when you look at situations. And then the other part is you'll have meaningful relationships, but it'll also reduce your internal anxiety and stress, and just generally put you in a more positive mood. It's been working for me, and I think it's a pretty cool trick that I play on myself, and I could feel over the course of time where little things wouldn't bother me, and things that bother me now may actually turn into things that put a smile on my face, because I'm imagining that the person that's doing this thing or saying this thing is doing it and coming from a great place. And to me, that just feels like a much better place to live, and that I might be living in that place now and I'm blinded to it. And by me changing my perspective and willingness to consider that everybody's intentions are good before I know otherwise, would give me the opportunity to get much more out of life and be happier, which is, let's face it, the most important thing. So, Brandon, shoot me a text, my man. See you, buddy.